Coming up on 5 Minute News. US President says we've waited too long to deal with climate crisis. Americans must wait months for vaccine, task force warns. And Facebook will permanently stop recommending political groups. It's Thursday, January 28. I'm Anthony Davis. In the most ambitious US effort to stave off the worst of climate change, President Joe Biden signed executive orders on Wednesday to transform the nation's heavily fossil fuel-powered economy into a clean-burning one, pausing oil and gas leasing on federal land and targeting subsidies for those industries. The directives aim to conserve 30% of the country's lands and waters in the next 10 years, double the nation's offshore wind energy, and move to an all-electric federal vehicle fleet, among other changes. Biden's sweeping plan is aimed at staving off the worst of global warming caused by burning fossil fuels. But his effort also carries political risk for the president and Democrats as oil and coal-producing states face job losses from moves to sharply increase U.S. reliance on clean energy such as wind and solar power. Biden has set a goal of eliminating pollution from fossil fuel in the power sector by 2035 and from the U.S. economy overall by 2050, speeding what is already a market-driven growth of solar and wind energy and lessening the country's dependence on oil and gas. The aggressive plan is aimed at slowing human-caused global warming that is magnifying extreme weather events such as deadly wildfires in the west and drenching rains and hurricanes in the east. Biden acknowledged the political risk, repeatedly stating his approach would create jobs in the renewable energy and automotive sectors to offset any losses in oil, coal, or natural gas. Americans will have to wait months before everyone who wants a COVID-19 vaccine can get one, and funding from Congress is essential, the White House Coronavirus Task Force has warned in a first starkly honest and transparent public briefing under Joe Biden. The sober assessment came as the task force aimed to set a new tone of transparency after last year's televised briefings became notorious for then-President Donald Trump's political grandstanding, claiming the virus would go away and promises of miracle cures. Biden, by contrast, was not present on Wednesday. The White House respects and will follow the science, and the scientists will speak independently, Andy Slavitt, the White House senior advisor for COVID response, told reporters. Right now, I want to level with the public that we're facing two constraining factors. The first is getting supply quickly enough, and the second is getting the ability to administer the vaccines quickly once they're produced and sent out to the sites. Slavitt added, we're taking action to increase supply and increase capacity, but even so, it will be months before everyone who wants a vaccine will be able to get one. Jeffrey Zients, coordinator of the task force, said it's essential that Congress pass the $1.9 trillion relief bill. In order to get all Americans vaccinated, we need Congress to provide funds for vaccinations. We still do too little testing in this country. We need to ramp up testing significantly. We need Congress to fund more testing in order to reopen schools and businesses. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg said on Wednesday the company would no longer recommend civic and political groups to users of the platform. The social media company said in October it was temporarily halting recommendations of political groups for US users in the run-up to the presidential election. Yesterday, Facebook said it would be making this permanent and would expand the policy globally. On Tuesday, Democratic Senator Ed Markey wrote to Zuckerberg asking for an explanation of reports, including by news site The Markup, that Facebook had failed to stop recommending political groups on its platform after this move. He called Facebook's groups breeding groups for hate and noted they had been venues for planning for the January 6 riot at the US Capitol. Speaking on a conference call with analysts about Facebook's earnings, Zuckerberg said on Wednesday the company was continuing to fine-tune how this works. Facebook groups are communities that form around shared interests. Public groups can be seen, searched, and joined by anyone on Facebook. Several watchdog and advocacy groups have pushed for Facebook to limit algorithmic group recommendations. They've argued that some Facebook groups have been used as spaces to spread information and organize extremist activity. Zuckerberg also said that Facebook was considering steps to reduce the amount of political content in users' news feeds. You can subscribe to 5-Minute News on YouTube with your preferred podcast app. Ask your smart speaker or enable 5-Minute News as your Amazon Alexa flash briefing skill. Subscribe, rate and review online at 5minute.news. 5-Minute News is an Evergreen Podcast covering politics, inequality, health and climate, delivering independent, unbiased and essential world news daily.